Hey everybody, welcome to the Fancy Werewolf Lounge. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step two. Step two, step two, step two, step two, step two, step two. Wiki wiki baby girl what? Hey everybody.
That was my favorite intro so far, Josh. Good job. I give you props for that one.
Well, the bar isn't very high with you. You hate all of them, I
I
feel like.
know, but I love that one. So thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for not making me hate the intro to the podcast for once.
for once. God damn it. Why are we friends?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just basically tolerate me. I don't understand it.
Yep. Anyway, I'm Josh Pfizer.
Hey guys, it's your girl Liberty Bell. We're finally back. We missed you.
Yeah, we're. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, it's been a long break for us. We did do a recording a few weeks ago, but if I'm being honest, so much has changed since then. I don't know about releasing that one because it's just like, how do you even like go back and listen to that after? Jesus Christ. Well, anyway,
And I mean, I was in a really foul just state of mind to even make that recording because like things have just been so intense that I was so overwhelmed to begin with. So
yeah, yeah,
it was
good.
like a post-election,
Yeah,
basically it was a post-election like recap. And at that point, I was just so done with everything politics that to be honest, I didn't even want to make the recording. So if you don't want to release it, don't release it. If you do, go ahead. But
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
good
It
things.
was
Good.
intense.
Yeah, good thing things have calmed down now.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Everything is just perfect.
All right, we'll get into that in a little bit, because I feel like we do have to address it. But anyway, today we have a special guest, Josh Hamzee. How are you doing?
Hey, Josh. Hey, Liberty. I'm doing great,
Yeah,
considering the world that y'all just
yeah,
brought.
yeah.
This is the second time there have been two Joshes on the podcast at the same time, and I just have to say I like it. I like a whole lot of Josh.
It's not gonna is
Um,
it until it turns into one of those situations where you have to shoot one of us, but you're not sure which one is the real Josh. That's how it works, right?
well,
It's
he doesn't have a giant red beard, so.
Ooh, yeah. I'm getting there.
yeah.
Give me a second.
No, you're looking
Nobody.
good. You're looking good. You look like you've been to a barber.
Thank you. I do.
Josh does not, but that's okay. He looks good too.
I'm waiting for things to calm down a little bit before I go to a barber shop. I last time I was at a barber shop, the guy asked me like, "Oh, so do you want to just see people walking around in masks?" And I'm just like, I don't fucking care. So yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get your beard trimmed at a barber with a mask on.
yeah, and then that's true too. Like that's also a thing, and I rather do it at a barber shop because they know better how to deal with it. But
Seems like one of those places in a podcast for a manscaping ad.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
I get those. You see those commercials on like YouTube videos a lot.
Weed whacker
Weed
for
whack-
Josh's face.
Or you had something like what's another? Oh, like there's like a man soap, and it's just like so
A
aggressive.
man, so
It's so aggressive that it's just like, dudes, what's going on here? Why are you yelling so much about this?
There's like
I
what,
always think it's funny that they gender something like that. Like you gender soap. Oh, this is for men only, just for men.
and there's a
Well,
product out there called.
what about my obvious need for extra hair on my head?
And there's a product out there called Dude Wipes, which is just for dudes that need to wipe their butt.
Yeah, like
Typically dude marketed.
just get regular wipes. Like what?
Yeah.
It's so
Well, they
it's
can
so
tack another dollar on, maybe. I don't
yeah.
know. But the pink tax is a real thing. I don't
Yeah.
know if they upcharge for saying it's super manly. And like, I don't know, Trump's buying it, He's definitely not using regular wipes. He's like, no, I gotta
think
have the
it's
dude wipes.
I think
Yeah,
it's generous of you
masculinity.
to assume that Donald Trump wipes his ass.
He probably doesn't poop because he's like not human. I don't know.
It just comes out one hamburger at a time.
Well, wasn't there a
It
point
comes
where
out of
he-
a gangbang at a time. Trump
He's
poops.
both, and then they both come out like together.
Oh Jesus
They
Christ!
both come out and then they may turn into a McGangbang in the toilet bowl. They're
Oh,
just like,
God
oh, thank God, we're out of there. Let's hug each other.
Wasn't wasn't there a point where he was at a rally and he was talking about low flow toilets and he's just like, you have to
Oh
flush
God.
like 15 times. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't. Even with the low flow
Oh
toilets,
shit.
I don't know, maybe once or maybe twice or 3 times, but 15 times, Donald Trump. I mean, we know your diet is horrible, but like, god damn, dude.
Oh God, this is great.
These
I'm
are like the
loving
White
this.
House toilets.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving this.
They're gonna have to. They're gonna when Biden takes office, they're just gonna have to get rid of all the. They have to fix the fucking plumbing in that place. Like, I swear to God.
They're gonna need all new toilets.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to look up the price of those
Like
man
what do
wipes.
what do people do now? Do they have like porta potties in there since, like just in case of an emergency? Do they just have like Roto Rooter on speed dial or
You just
what?
shit on the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah,
There's just like a special person who just lives there. Like a plumber just lives there. It's this
It's
full-time
Joe.
job.
It's that Joe Plumber guy who does that.
Yeah, Joe the
He's
plumber.
got Flex Seal. He's like, oh, Donald Trump broke the seal on another toilet. Flat seal for men only.
Yeah. So we like to ask our guest a few things. One, what is something that is helping you stay mentally, physically, and emotionally well right now? And what kind of media have you been consuming lately that you have enjoyed?
I guess for the first question, I think routine, like finding a way to have a routine, which is hard. And so been getting a lot of Zoom work done. So whether it's like a weekly Saturday dance party with some old Zoom friends that we meet from across the country.
Some old Zoom friends.
We're like folks from like grad
We've
school.
we've known each other for 9 months. We're old Zoom friends.
Yep, exactly. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
So we do that. I do a workout via Zoom with some old Zoom friends in the mornings.
Old Zoom friends. I love it.
Yep. So I think finding a routine and make like the day kind of something to look forward to helps out a lot. Especially since I teach, I think you get these big chunks of time off, and so it's
Yeah.
what to do with all that. And so with that, I also got 2 new cats in the last couple months.
Oh,
Aww.
Sometime soon.
Kitties.
nice.
Thank you.
Well, that's what they said. Like more pets or animals have like gotten homes during the pandemic than like ever.
Yeah, because
Which is
everyone's
great.
kind of
Go adopt a furry buddy.
Yeah,
It does help you.
personally, yeah. Chanda has been as much of a pain in the ass as she is. She has been a real help to me. But Josh, what kind of media are you consuming right now?
Let's see. So
I lent you a book the other a couple of weeks ago that you seem to have enjoyed.
yeah, I did. That was one of my quarantine things to look forward to. So I took that book to Des Moines to the High Trestle Trail Bridge, that really scary installation art bridge, and just read it up there. I learned about why God is failing people in buildings.
The book is the Will Eisner's classic graphic novel Contract with God. So it's definitely one of those ones that if you want to get into comic books but aren't into like superhero or sci-fi or fantasy stuff, it's a real it's anthology of life in I'm thinking like the early 1900s, or no, not quite that, like 1950s Jewish New York.
Mhm.
So anyway, but what else have you been?
Other than that, what did I watch recently? I saw that movie Nomadland with Frances McDormand. Really good.
Oh yeah. I've
Love
heard
her.
about that. I heard that's really great. Yeah.
It's like if you like dystopian kind of movies, it's right up that alley, except it's not dystopia. It's right now.
Yeah. It's if I'm remembering the premise right, it's a bunch of people in like camper I don't know what the correct term would be, like I don't want to
a bunch of unhoused people that live in RVs meet up in the middle of like Arizona, and
yeah, it's like an encampment basically. Yeah. So yeah, I've been wanting to watch that, and of course Frances McDormand, great actress. One of
Yes,
the
incredible.
things that actually holds up about Three Billboards outside of
Mhm.
that town in Missouri is Jesus is her performance, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. It certainly isn't the fact that one of the main characters that we're supposed to sympathize with eventually is his whole thing is that he tortured a black guy in custody. So anyway, sorry. That's
Very redeemable quality.
yeah, sorry.
Very, very
Yeah,
redeemable.
sorry, that's like 5 years ago, the discourse. So I just anyway, uh, so Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a professor at UNI. You work in the theater department. You do the speech competitions.
Yeah. So so long story short, I used to work at Northern Iowa for 6 years, coaching the speech team. The last 3 or 4 years I spent in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, getting my doctorate. I came back and now I work in the communication and media department, actually, but in the theater there. And so we do something called performance studies, which is like theater, but not like theater. Basically, how theater, a lot of times you're dealing with stuff on the stage. We deal with stuff that's not how we deal with performance, not just on the stage, but every day. Like we're always in a performance. We are always performing something. We're wearing costumes all the time. We are always thinking of things in terms of conflict and staging and all that. And so, how do you bring like theatrical terms to real life? And then we take it the next step. We do that, but then work with a lot of like social justice types of performances. And so, how can we make change? What is our motto? Changing the world one performance at a time. I think that's what it was. That's our motto.
All right.
Love
Yeah,
it.
and you guys have a YouTube channel right now where you put some stuff on. You've put on performances and interviews with people. Them tell
The
them
UNI
stories and stuff.
Interpreters Theater YouTube channel. And we have a bunch of old full-length performances, a lot of student-driven original work. Yeah, so I think pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and now
What's the name of it again? You cut out right when you were saying the name of it.
UNI Interpreters Theater.
Okay.
So RE, so the fancy way of theater.
the British way.
Yes, theatre.
Yeah.
Theatre.
It's one of my favorite things is like how words are let's just face it, they're misspelled in England. Let's just put it like that. So how have you how has working in live performance and like obviously there's a lot of things you can say of like how live performance has changed in the past almost a year now. But from and we talked to a lot of comedians about this, but what about from your end at the university level and theater and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think since we do focus a lot more on, we do a lot of digital performance, but in general, we tend to focus on live performance. And so having bodies in a place together like matters, right? You have a different energy off of that, which like stand-up comics know for sure. Just doing it online is not the same feeling, even if you have people like Zooming like this. And so what does it mean when you take some of that live work and then bring it to the digital space? Is there still a room for having those same kind of feelings and sensations, or at least trying to replicate them? And so we've had that a little bit of that struggle of figuring out how do we adapt what we were intending to do in a live theater to online. And so we found a couple different ways. We got some time with public access television. And so we have a couple hours of UNI Interpreters Theater in Cedar Falls. So after you're done watching, I guess, girls track and field, you can watch us. Other than that, we have started doing mainly since we can't really be in the space as much, we've done a little bit more as far as digital events goes. And so one of the cool things that we did this semester was we brought a lot of old alumni back and did a storytelling show where they came back and told stories of their UNI experiences and called it Tales of UNI. And we're hopefully trying to make it more of a regular thing. And so while it has hindered us in some ways, it has caused us to adapt and find some other really cool, interesting avenues to still be able to produce live performance, but in different ways.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like, even without the pandemic in 2020, I think we are so far deep into the internet age, and we are so, so deep into being able to have a wider platform through social media and stuff like that. And whether we can say it's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, Jesus Christ. But that's something that I think was inevitable. What you're doing is inevitably going to happen to a lot of different live performances. Dave at the Octopus has been talking for a while about putting cameras in to do live stream events
Mhm.
after things get okay to open up again, and like have do have live streams, have people pay to see the band even if they're not able to physically be there. So it just seems like something that most performers were inevitably going to have to adapt to.
In a way, I think the pandemic kind of it accelerated what we should have probably been doing anyways, as far as being
Right.
familiar with this kind of stuff. Being a teacher, we see a lot of that digital divide happening with folks that have no idea about how to use technology whatsoever. Students too, but like especially older professors. And so kind of forcing people to learn how to use some of this stuff. And so I think it accelerated our digital savviness, our, what do they call them? Digital natives and digital immigrants. That barrier has kind of become a little bit easier.
That is a kind of perfect way to describe that gap between millennials and Gen X or Gen Zers, where I remember we had the internet, but I was probably like 13, 14 when we had our first computer and the internet on it, and it was the Wild
Dial
West back
up.
then.
Mhm.
What?
Dial up.
Dial up. Oh,
Still in the back of my mind.
god damn.
And like Google wasn't even, I mean, Google was a thing, but it wasn't even a thing like it is now. Like
Yeah, Google was
this,
just a website. It wasn't like this
yeah.
this
I
behemoth
feel like pretty
of
much like the main thing people used the internet for back then was just like emailing for one
And
and
porn.
AOL Instant Messenger.
but you say the porn was more or less
The
like you
porn.
had to wait like 45 minutes for one picture of a naked woman.
And it was pixelated.
And it was pixelated. Yeah. 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 I remember I used to like
Josh, I'm sure you know a lot about this topic,
And in the
Pfizer.
pixelated form.
Yeah. Well, I remember back in the day, you had like you had the free tours on the paid
The nipple
websites.
is just one pink square.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's you know what? Unfortunately, you had that barrier to get into those websites where it asks you if you're 18. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Lie about that?
Lie on the internet? No
Yeah,
one does that.
yeah, absolutely.
Like, but I'm 25. I can't go in.
Oh, but
Oh,
yeah,
man.
but no, yeah, like I was saying, it definitely seems like there's that gap in knowledge is had like people just had to adapt to it this past year, and it's gotten to a point where people who probably had no attention, like older people, especially in learning stuff like this, had to. And
Well, I'm still tech illiterate post
yeah,
pandemic.
yeah.
So
So before we started recording this, she had like because you got Liberty got a new microphone, which
yeah, I
looks really
did.
great.
It's sitting right
Yeah.
here and
Ooh.
If
totally
you
unusable.
yeah.
Honestly, I think it might be a Chromebook thing because I'm
Oh,
trying to
okay.
use it on this Chromebook and I just have a sneaking suspicion that it's probably just not compatible, but whatever. I'll just send it back and get another one that is Chromebook compatible. My mom ordered me this for Christmas, so
Mom.
I put it on my Amazon wish list, but I did not do enough research or read
Right.
enough reviews to find out if it was actually compatible, which it just might not be.
Well,
But also,
let me
I
take
probably just can't figure out how to work it, so
yeah.
Josh is gonna come over.
Let
and
me
look at
take
it.
a look at it for you. I could probably
Yeah, I'm
uh,
sure it'll be like a 2-minute ordeal for you.
yeah. It'll just press one button. It's like what the
There's
fuck,
no
Liberty?
button. Okay, first of all, there's no button on it. I'm just gonna make that known.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
I checked for buttons.
All right. Okay. But Josh, back to you. So how let's talk about how you got into this, into the performing arts and stuff like that. Just in general, not just like as a professor, but like your background in that.
Well, up until I was like 17 or 18, I was an athlete. So played baseball, football, basketball, all that kind of stuff. Um, but I wasn't exactly going to classes all the time, so I wasn't exactly eligible to
Oh,
play. And I kept sneaking into like the theater back in high school. And then I remember there was this girl I liked that was taking a theater class, and I was like, hold on, I'll take a class too. And then it kind of got me hooked. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of into this. I kind of like this a little bit better than doing this thing.
this
So
that seems like that seems like it would be a usual story. It's just like I want to fuck this chick, but like I really got into get into the theater. Yeah.
yep. So got into the theater. I was like, okay, I guess I'm into this. And so graduated high school, not on time. I failed baseball. So I had to take summer school. And then I went to community college over at Mount San Antonio College in Los Angeles. I was in a couple of the plays, and then the speech team there, which is like sports for nerds. Basically, you go every week, take speeches out, take acting events out, and go battle other colleges and try to get the one. They found me in the theater. They got me there, and I was like, actually, this is like, since it is sports for nerds, I kind of like how this is competitive at the same time as being artsy. And so I got a little bit of best of both worlds. That took me through my undergrad. I went and got my master's at Cal State Long Beach, where I coached that and still did a bunch of theater things. And then I found my way to Iowa back in 2010.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I did some speech in high school, some speech events. You could probably, if you look through a yearbook, you could probably see me in tights.
Yeah,
But but
It was a ridge.
but yeah, that kind of atmosphere is it is like,
Oh yeah, speech
a
was
sport.
speech was dope. Of course, you got to be in speech. Then you got to get to all state. You got to get Division 1 ratings on all of your events. I mean, come on now, it was hardcore.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
thing I really loved about it, though, especially like on the college level, and now I still coach it. I still coach high schools and camps and stuff like that. But on the college level, you're just around so many smart, dedicated people that are just having so many different interests, but for the most part, tend to be, not always, of course, but tend to be pretty progressive, right? And so a lot of the things you're talking about are stuff that the greater public might be talking about in 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was always kind of cool to be ahead of the curve, like all up on the news all the time, just like what's going on in the world. But then also having some kind of humbleness to be like, I still need to be able to learn all the time. I still need to be able to be critiqued and be okay with criticism. And it's not necessarily a negative thing. And so all those skills are wrapped up in that, which I think translate then to really anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what have you found is which aspect of speech are you of the speech competitions do you are you most involved in?
So for folks that don't know, very briefly, there's like three main areas. So you have, well, backing it up, you have speech and debate, two different things. Debate is like people debating each other. So let's put that aside. Speech is like, think of it like one person monologues that are 10 minutes long. And then you have three different categories. You have your limited preparation. So stuff like impromptu speaking, right? Off the cuff of your hat. You have more of the acting events. So like poetry, prose, which is like short stories, drama, that kind of stuff. And then you have more of like the public address events. So like informative, persuasive, and then after dinner speaking. And so my specialties end up being more of the acting type of events. And then also after dinner speaking, which is how do you write jokes into a speech that should be important? How do you culturally critique something with the use of humor at the same time? How do you still bring out people's personalities, even though you're collaboratively writing something together that they can kind of take out? And so more of the acting stuff and then the funny stuff.
Right. Right. um Yeah, and I feel like there's a good number of people who come from that go into stand up also, because it seems like almost a straight line into that. Though I'm surprised more don't don't end like, at least from my experience meeting people around here. Surprised more people don't from speech events don't try to get into stand up. I don't know, but maybe it's a different animal too. Like
I think
It
there
is
is some
definitely a
crossover,
different
for
animal.
sure. But I do think as far as like when you talk about Iowa speech, for example, there's two different kinds. You have the when you're talking about like state and all state, that's kind of the less competitive version, right? And then you have
right.
NSDA, the National Speech Association, which is more like the college level kind, and where it's a little bit more competitive, not like everyone wins or everyone gets all state. And so I think depending on which kind you come up in, you gravitate toward what you want to do with it afterwards a little differently.
Right. What do you find that people end up eventually doing afterwards with that stuff?
So it very much depends. The kind of cool thing is since you can really talk about whatever you want, right? Whatever the speech is, whatever interest you're going into. So a lot of times people end up going to law school afterward. A lot of times people end up going to politics, entertainment. You look at any field, you pretty much will have like old speechies in there somewhere, just because of the quantity of them. They're gonna get to one of those places.
Right.
And so,
Basically any place that has speech, like involves public speaking, any prominent occupation. Okay, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Okay. Um is so what are you, so you're between semesters right now?
Yep.
Okay, so what are you working on now, or have planned for the next semester in terms of all that, or just in it personally in general?
So as far as my teaching life, I'm teaching face to face. And so that's kind of cool because I'm in a theater, so we can like spread out with everyone and still do things. So it's not like in a classroom. I would hate that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, get away from me.
Right.
Go to your restaurant. Go to Applebee's.
Oh god, you know, Applebee's, the restaurant that apparently we destroyed, millennials have destroyed like a couple of years back.
Yep.
It's not
What,
their terrible
Applebee's?
terrible
Applebee's
food.
destroyed themselves.
They took
Yes.
down all the
A
chain
guy took me on
restaurants.
a first date there, and I was just like, I'm never talking to you again after this.
Didn't
What's
they
wrong
have,
with you?
wasn't there a thing a couple of years back where they had like dollar Long Island iced teas, and they just
Yeah, they do that.
they do
I
do
still
that.
think
Yeah.
they still do that, I think.
Oh,
I'll
let's
find
get
out next year.
yeah yeah yeah. Um,
But
but
yes,
yeah,
that's my teaching life is like all face to face. I'm teaching a couple cool classes, performance and social change, which should be a pretty cool class. Another class called Preforming Texts, which we basically make art out of just performing whatever. And then my creative life, I put up a solo show that I was planning to tour this year called Burnt City, dystopian bilingual one Persian show, where basically it's just me. I speak Farsi in it and English, and it's a little bit very topical now, comparing domestic abuse from governments to citizens to domestic abuse at home, and how those can be kind of the same thing, like how governments treat their citizens versus like how parents might treat kids or people you have power or authority over. So I think it's funny.
Okay. Do you is any of that available to be seen, or?
Definitely. I just put it up on my YouTube channel. Just go to Josh Hamzehee, Hamzehee, and you can see a rough version of that show, and then hopefully this year be able to see it live sometime.
Nice. Well, we'll be looking out for that once things start to open up again. I know you were also talking, you told me you're working on a writing jokes and stuff. You talked about doing some sending out a package for TV shows and stuff like that. How's that going?
Definitely. So since I finished my doctorate last year, my whole life has been like, all right, that's kind of in the past. What's next? And so I wrote down this list on my birthday. Long story short, one of my friends gives me this cool idea about 5 or 6 years ago about how you should always give yourself a report card on your birthday. So go through all the aspects of your life and just like, hey, I'm gonna give myself a B for this or a C, and these are the things I want. So I kind of did that, but I gave myself a a few years down the road look, and like what are all the things I would like to do, whether it's be an SNL writer, get into politics, run for office, all this stuff. And so I did that and then started making the list of how do I do each of these steps first. And so what you're talking about is kind of creating a packet for the first thing I was looking at is the SNL Writers Workshop, which I think it's due in June.
Okay.
But it might be a little bit different from the quarantine. And basically, you send them a packet based on the things they're looking for. So it's like a couple sketch ideas, a couple blah, blah, blah. And then you see what happens. I've had a couple friends get into that. And so that seems like a way to get your foot in the door without having to first live there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
For sure.
Well, good luck on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What was your what do you think your favorite, what would you say your favorite era of Saturday Night Live is?
Okay, I'm not an SNL snob.
Okay. So you're not one yeah, you're not one of those people who's just like, it stopped being good in da da da.
It's just different. Like in the first few years, like they're finding their footing. Sketches are a little bit more long form because people have those kind of attention spans. I think right now you kind of lose some of that, right? Where they're looking for the quick laugh rather than letting it build into it, which again, because of attention spans where you're trying to see it afterwards. But if I were to go back to my favorite era, I remember growing up and watching like the Norm Macdonald Weekend Update skits very vividly and just being always like, that seems like a really cool job to have.
Yeah, he definitely was I think the best Weekend Update host there's ever been. Like no disrespect to like Seth Meyer or was Chevy Chase did it for a while and yeah, even like Tina Fey and Jimmy Fallon, but Norm Macdonald just is so his comedy style is weird because he'll just go for a joke that really shouldn't work, but his delivery makes it like it elevates the joke.
He's like his own character without being a character.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
He has like this persona, and that's one thing I try to teach about in my classes when we're teaching humor and stuff all the time. Is like, what you can be so funny with the worst material. It doesn't really matter depending. It's more about how you're approaching it and how you're delivering it and how you're connecting to it. And so, for example, when I'm teaching performing texts, one of the assignments we do is I have them go find a piece of. Well, now it's harder because of COVID, but I used to have them go find a piece of garbage from around campus. Now bring it back and make us an amazing performance out of it. And so the fact that you can do things without having the best material a lot of times comes down to the persona and where it's kind of coming from. And so having a good gauge on who you are, I think does well for like someone like Norm Macdonald for sure.
I try and explain that to like friends of mine and stuff that haven't ever seen me perform. And they're, a lot of times people will be like, well, you're a comedian, but you're really sensitive in real life or whatever. And I'm just like, well, I'm like, when I'm on stage, I'm a totally different person. Like you are acting. It's an act. And I think a lot of people don't really get that about comedy either, that you're yourself, but it's an act, It's
kind of like your online presence. It's like
exactly
it's a version of yourself.
Yes, it is.
Well,
like I liked what you said about how we're literally all wearing costumes every day and we're always constantly performing, because that's just so accurate.
Yeah, and there's a thing about that I heard that to be really great at comedy, you also have to have a lot of empathy. And to be really successful at that, because you got to gauge reaction. You also have to kind of come at a premise with curiosity and trying and some understanding, even if it seems like you're saying something negative in the joke. The premise is always like, what's up with this thing, and you're just trying to find that. So
one thing I tell my after dinner speech students, we call it smart ignorance, right? Even if you're being stupid and ignorant and saying something that would maybe be considered offensive, is the audience clued in that you're actually kind of smart about it, right? And so you can be dumb as long as you're smart.
Yeah. I like there's I like Bill Burr. He does he does like have some jokes and opinions that I don't agree with, but also I appreciate him like because he'll totally admit, oh, maybe I'm fucking wrong, maybe I'm a fucking idiot about that. And that I think that that's an endearing quality for a comedian because there's so many comedians that are just like, fuck you, I'm right. This is how it is. This is all there is, and it's just I appreciate somebody like Bill Burr who's definitely more of a man's man kind of guy, a little abrasive blue collar, Opie and Anthony, frequent guest type guy, but he's also like, maybe I'm wrong though. Right. Anyway, so okay. Anything else you want to anything else you have to say about that topic, Josh?
About Bill Burr.
No, well, I mean, just like in general.
If we're talking, I think about humor. One of the things when I'm coaching students or other people to like how to deliver humor is a lot of times I think people tend to go towards I'm trying to make it funny. When I'm like, you shouldn't be playing the joke. You're playing the truth of it, and then the truth should be funny. Right. And so it's a case by case basis for sure. There are definitely exceptions to that rule. But in general, especially as you're like training novice folks to try to find themselves and be funny, it's like, what are some tactics that you can use? And so that idea of smart ignorance, that idea of don't play the joke, play the truth. So that way, if it falls on its face, they're not laughing at you being bad at it. They're just laughing at whatever you were trying to do. And so in the end, anyone can be funny. It is not like, some people are better at it than others, of course, naturally, but it is something you can actually learn because there's a science to it. It's an art, it's a science at the same time.
Well, like Doug Shaw, he has like a whole thing where it's like the mathematics of joke writing and things like that. And there's a definite method. I mean, well, there's a lot of different methods to being funny or whatever joke writing, but absolutely you can follow formulas and make jokes that way.
I mean, a lot of like, what is the theory? Expectancy violation theory, where you're just trying to violate people's expectations, and that requires understanding what their expectations are.
Right.
I forget who it was. Really good comedian I saw. He had a joke where it's this black comedian, and he's talking about how how the perception of black on black violence doesn't make much sense. It's people usually just the violence happens inter-community, so of course it's going to show black on black violence. And he was just like, and do you know what the number one killer of white people is? And some of the people are just like, white, and white people, and he was like, gluten.
Yep. I was guessing mayo in my head.
Yeah, but no, it's yeah. But yeah, that's like
you're gangbang again.
The big gangbang.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Taco Bowl.
You're really into the McDonald's gangbang, which
I'm not really into it.
What?
I'm not really into it.
Really, you're not? I mean, you got Ronald McDonald hair.
I've never had one.
What?
I have Ronald McDonald hair.
Well, you got the color. The color
you
is.
coming at me like that?
Okay. Yeah, I know. It's just like I have anything to talk about. But I hear.
Okay, let's ask the viewers. Okay, to say whose hair is more like Ronald McDonald's, mine or Josh's. We all know.
Leave a
I'm
comment.
talking about Pfizer here. We all know who they would say.
Well, I was gonna say.
Don't add me with that shit.
Well, I was gonna say McDonald's gangbang just sounds like Ronald McDonald and Grimace double teaming the hamburger. So
always has to be sexual with you. I know it's called the McGangbang, but that's not happening.
You can't say that without. Okay, you know what? Never mind. You're
right. Okay, you're right. We all
You've
know
got enough free advertising.
We're talking about fake meats fucking each other here, not made up characters of McDonald's. Okay.
By the way, this might not be true, but I think I heard at one point that Grimace is actually a McNugget. that might not be true, but it's just like, okay, it makes more sense than just having this giant purple bell-shaped monster just hanging around. So
Whatever. I mean, to me,
I
it
can
is.
go in. I will go into the McDonald's mascot lore. Don't fucking test me on this
Wait till
shit.
Clearly.
wait till the Chuck E. Cheese mascots come out.
Oh
Oh
god,
my god.
so creepy. Like
They're
now looking.
selling them. They're probably selling them because all the Chuck E. Cheeses are going out of business or whatever. So you could probably get a robotic giant Chuck E. the Cheese if you want.
Speaking
Yeah.
of, and this is I found this out the other day. So when you go onto like the food delivery sites, Chuck E. Cheese has a secret one. They're called Pasquale's Pizza, and so they double
Yeah.
this up. If it was just Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, I heard that it's no longer actually called Chuck E. Cheese, and that's just the new name, but it's all the same apparently. It's
Mhm.
literally the same.
Well, Jesus Christ. Well, here's the thing. If anybody, if there's one major thing that nobody anywhere, if there's one thing that everybody hates about Chuck E. Cheese, it's the pizza. So I don't understand why you're just going into pizza. You go
You're trying to
Chuck
trick them so
Yeah,
they can buy it.
It's literally, I heard it's literally the exact same pizza too. I can't imagine how many people tried it. We're just so disappointed.
Yeah, and
God.
it's just like
To be criminal. Just
Chuck
keep
E.
the shitty label on it. Like if you can't fucking sell off Little Caesars to somebody as Tony's Pizza, like people are gonna be like, no, this is fucking cardboard trash. This is clearly Little Caesars in a Tony's box. Fuck
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, Little Caesars, the worst pizza
But it's
ever.
hot and ready,
It's hot and
Josh.
ready. It's been that meaning it's been sitting there for 5 fucking hours.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I remember my friend Byron, a good friend of mine, Byron Tassif, and I went and got a pizza and he wanted to get Little Caesars. So we got Little Caesars and we went to Pfeiffer Park and just like ate it there or whatever. And we both took like one bite of a piece of pizza and we were just like, oh, this is fucking horrible, And there's like on the side of the box, they had like a questions, comments, kind of whatever hotline number. And my friend called them and literally bitched the lady out for an hour. I've never seen this guy mad in my life. And I mean, I'm like, Byron, it's not the lady on the phone's fault that this pizza is so bad, but literally like 1 hour, he just berated her about how terrible the pizza was. And he's like, how do you guys live with yourselves? And it was just like so intense. I'm just sitting there like, is this really life right now? Like we're really calling and you are probably this woman is going to go home and cry herself to sleep tonight after this phone call over a fucking $5 Little Caesars pizza. And this is like when Little Caesars first came back. I mean, I think we were in high school. So
Put Caesar on the phone. I want to talk to Caesar.
yeah.
I want to talk to
I
that.
want to talk to Big Caesar about Little Caesars. And man, it was a trip.
I want to talk to that fucking pizza guy. Where the fuck is he?
It was like a total Karen moment. It was like the ultimate Karen moment from a person who I've loved and respect forever, who never behaves that way. And it was over. I can't believe it. I mean, he just lost it over. Like he was so mad about how bad the pizza was. Anyway, that was the last time I also ate Little Caesars. So
Yeah, that was like you said it was high school. So what, like 10, 15 years ago?
Probably like 2007.
Yeah, yeah.
We were around in there, and then I remember he also just took the whole he just took the whole box of pizza and just like frisbeed it, and like the pizza was like everywhere, and he's like on the phone with the lady. He's like, the birds aren't even gonna eat this shit. I'm telling you, it's garbage. It was so bad.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Good memories.
I want my $4 back.
Yeah, I want my $4.28 back for this.
Yeah. It's one of those.
The thing that really set him off was, well, she was like, well, we can give you 2 free pizzas, sir. Like, you know how they like, if something goes wrong, they're like, hey, here's some free merchandise or whatever. He's like, that's what he really fluffed the handle. He's like, what the fuck would I want more of this pizza for? And it was just, oh my god, I'll never forget it. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
they need a Domino's style like reboot, you know, like because Domino's pizza pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
decent. Like
not terrible.
yeah, it's a chain, but you know, it's still like, you know, for a chain, it's really good. Um,
But when they
but
had that, like, when they're like those commercials about 5 or 6 years ago, like, we make bad pizza. We're sorry.
I wish more.
Yeah,
I
Uh-huh.
at
wish
least they were honest.
I
Yeah.
wish companies
Little
um
Caesars is still lying to itself.
Mm-hmm.
no, people keep buying this because they love it. No, they buy it because it's cheap and fast. Come on, guys.
It's
They
hot
got
and
by it
ready.
because the working class is forced to subsume this kind of sustenance
Well,
because
I like just imagine like a lady with like 12 kids and she's just like, all right, we're going to Little Caesars and we're just gonna get 3 hot and ready pizzas and you're gonna shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I there was something I saw online, not to like just speaking of like parent stuff, is just like somebody, you know, pointing out that that breakfast cereal commercials, for some reason they have the cereal and also they show like a full breakfast, like eggs and bacon and stuff like that, as if cereal wasn't just a what we would have for breakfast when our mom was, you know, late for work, was you know, getting close to getting late for work and had to drop us off at this, like fucking here, have some fucking you know, fruity pebbles and
the
look,
milk and the
we gotta go. Yeah.
We were
Anyway.
never allowed sugar with cereal. What had sugar in it at all?
Hmm. Hmm.
It was like, well, actually, we did have like granola, which was fucking delicious. I feel like that's why I still love granola, but
That explains so much about you, Liberty.
it was, yeah, it was like regular flakes, regular Cheerios. I don't know. We never really ate cereal.
Hmm. Yeah.
Probably because we didn't get the good shit.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Tostitos instead of Cheerios.
Right. Well, when we would go camping, though, we would get those mini boxes of cereal. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? The mini boxes that you can, turn it into a bowl right out of the box. And so that was like the shit. But of course, we had to like fight over who got which boxes. Sibling shit. And inevitably, like we'd always try and cut them into the bowl and end up just cutting through the other side. So you'd have milk like dripping all over you while you're eating cereal out of a cardboard box. I don't know. The thrill of the game.
Wait, it was like a cardboard box type thing. You
Yeah,
just ate it in the box. I thought you
so no,
just poured.
like on the outside of the box, there's like perforations or like lines drawn on it for you to like cut. But you're supposed to, cut through the box and the little bag inside of it, but not cut through the other side of the box and
Hmm.
bag. So it's
Okay.
like, so basically, like you cut like an outline around it and then it opens up in two little flaps. And then you have like a bowl, bowl of cereal. In the, in
Okay.
the box.
All right. Innovation. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on because it seems like we should probably acknowledge current events.
You mean we can't
So
just keep talking about how trash Little Caesars is for like another hour?
I mean, get your friend on the phone. Like, let's get his opinion on it now. Like, maybe he's changed it. Maybe he's like his favorite restaurants is Little Caesars now.
Well,
Let's talk
one of
about
the weird things.
McDonald Trump.
What'd you say?
Talk about McDonald Trump.
Oh yeah, let's talk about him.
Uh, so
The
Joe
What a ba-
Biden
what a
might be the
fucking baby.
Joe Biden might be the president if the coup isn't gonna be successful. I don't know. Like it's
Well, it's.
so,
I mean, they say that like often like an unsuccessful coup is like followed by a successful one. So I
yeah.
mean, I mean, we really have no idea what's going to happen in the next, 10 days or whatever. Um, I'm not really, I guess, looking forward to it.
Oh, really? So you're not
Uh,
excited for the possibility of overturning our votes and
uh,
making them pretty much useless now? That was my reaction while seeing all this and seeing how the police gave them very little pushback.
Oh, you
Was
mean when they were bringing pipe bombs and Molotov cocktails into the capital of the United States and nothing happened? They were just like, "Oh yeah, this is fine."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is when you look at the contrast to the BLM protest over the summer and the way like police seemed more in opposition, and I get why people why police would be more in opposition to defunding the police, but at the same point you got what happened, on the 6th, which January 6th is going to be a date that people remember. That's just going to be, in there. But where police were, only eventually started to actually do something, and even like at the most extreme points. Yeah, so
Yeah, well, a lot of the police would have been there if they weren't on duty, so it's a I don't know. They did.
I doubt they had. I doubt there
Ugh,
weren't
I don't know.
some that were. I mean, they have identified a lot of people who are former military or were off duty cops
Yeah, what about
there.
the like fairly newly elected senator from Virginia or whatever? Is he from Virginia or West Virginia? Do you know?
I think it was Virginia. Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, he was there with and now people are calling for his resignation, and you fucked up, bro. I don't know. It's crazy.
but
I
guys, Donald Trump did the best he
see what
could to
happens.
calm everybody down. He told him he loved them.
That
And
was
that no,
And that they're
definitely
very
they stole the
special.
election from me. They stole the election from me, and we should definitely fight. We like it was definitely bad, and it was definitely something that needs to change. But guys, go home. We love you. I love you. Go home. Even though the dirty
Stuff.
Dems stole the election.
that "we love you" part was just so like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, we'd be in so much trouble if these people were more competent and evil.
Right.
yeah,
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like the incompetency was there for, in many ways, but they still were able to get some really fucking dangerous shit in areas that they shouldn't be able to get dangerous shit into. It's kind of horrifying.
Should have done it to Area 51. Like we would have known so much.
Yeah, what happened with that?
yeah. What did it? The Area 51 thing was just like, you know what? I think it would have been better if you remember that scene in Independence Day where all the campers are driving towards Area 51 because there's no other. And I think Will Smith knew about Area 51. Like I think his character had to have known about that. So it's just like, oh, he's this everyman who knows about Area 51.
We all do.
We
Mhm.
all do. We know it's real. We know it's real. Uh, I mean, I do believe that the government's holding back information about aliens, like some kind of information. I just don't know what. So yeah. Anyway, but also that sounds like the same people who stormed the Capitol.
I just
Uh,
feel like aliens probably want nothing to do with humans. That's why we don't know anything about aliens, because they're just like, fuck these idiots. Like,
That's what Neil deGrasse Tyson says, where he talks about like how why would they want to come here if they're so much smarter than us? Like the only way
right,
they can be here is if they're so much smarter than us to make that happen.
yeah,
right.
they're
They
so
probably literally watch us like reality TV, and they're just like, this is
well
this is what we
Reality
get our shits
TV.
and kicks. Yeah. They're just like,
well
look at the dumb Americans out there raiding their own capital and stealing podiums. These dumb motherfuckers.
but yeah, in Star Trek First Contact, they show like our first meeting, Earth's first meeting with the Vulcans happened only after uh we were able to figure out warp speed. So we have to it's a thing where we probably need to prove our worth to them before they actually involve us into intergalactic society. But of course, Elon Musk is at the head of space travel, so I don't hold out any uh uh any chances of that happening.
I think he just became richer than Jeff Bezos like the other day. I think it was official. Because I guess like Tesla went up again because rich people.
Let's see how long it can sigh for. Anybody who's watched this show from the beginning knows my opinions on Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. So,
Fuck them both.
what?
I said fuck them both.
Fuck them both.
Maybe the aliens will just come and abduct them.
Yeah,
They're special.
I
They're special.
yeah I like to describe Jeff I use like to use comic book villain terms for them. Elon Musk is like Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2, just really bad at his job. And even though Elon Musk is in fucking Iron Man 2 and it's a weird fucking stupid scene. And Jeff Bezos is obviously Lex Luthor. He even has the bald fucking head. Like, come on, guys. How yeah.
He's like Lex Luthor meets like Dr. Evil. Nice, right in between.
Right in between. It's a he's a
yeah, that bad. He's literally that bad. He is like totally like Dr. Evil.
yeah.
I like that comparison.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be like interesting to see where this leads to and what's gonna happen on Inauguration Day. It's one of those things where after the election, there were people who expected violence from Trump supporters, and we're just like, oh, I'm surprised it didn't happen yet. A couple of months went by, but I
look
was
at the dude in Tennessee, or was it Tennessee or Kentucky that blew a bunch of people up? That was a Trump supporter.
Nebraska, I believe. No, not Nebraska, but yeah, he didn't blow a bunch of people up. He blew himself up, but he was trying to destroy the AT&T building because he believed in the 5G conspiracy. That was
sounds like my sister.
Yeah. Although that might not be like confirmed, but yeah, I think that was just that's what people speculate because he was trying to blow up the AT&T building.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's not like Doug Jensen, this dude from Des Moines that chased the
black cop.
Yeah, and then like, did anyone go look at his Facebook page? Because I did, and it's just insanity. I was just like, I cannot believe, like, these people need to be put on lists, like literally lists for terrorism. Like they're recruiting via social media, which is what Trump did.
Well,
and
that's
they're finally banned his ass off Twitter and shit. But they're literally recruiting other people to do more dumb shit like this.
That's been going on even long before Trump announced his we talk about the internet age earlier, but that's what you got. 4chan, you got 8chan, you got 8kun, you got all these different places where white supremacist and alt-right groups have been trying to recruit vulnerable people into it. And then QAnon came around, and that's indoctrinating people who are well-meaning because they genuinely care about child abuse, but they're directing it in the wrong way. They're not actually
gotta go after him.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, if you try to that's the weird argument they'll use if you try to tell them how fucked up this conspiracy is that, oh, so you're not against child abuse or child trafficking? It's just like, I am, but this is not what's actually going on. Like, people have actually had actual studies about this, and by the way, children are more likely to be abused from somebody close to them, and a lot of times, like, people won't believe them because, oh, Uncle John wouldn't do that and stuff like that. But it's always convenient to
children. It's anyone who's a victim of abuse or like sexual assault and everything. It's constantly people turning a blind eye, or it's your word versus their word kind of shit. Like, most people who do those kinds of horrible, heinous things, sexual assault, child abuse, rape, all those things, 95% of them walk free. There's like a very minimal amount of people who get charged with shit like that who actually are incarcerated.
Yeah.
But
And it's something that seems very convenient when the bad guy to them is these very powerful people who they also happen to disagree with politically,
right,
and it does. And here's the thing: it's just like, Hillary Clinton, bad person; Joe Biden, bad person. All this. Obama did some shit bombed a lot of countries. Hate them for what they actually have done, not what you have put in your head. All right, that's just, you listen. There's a podcast I listen to called
Hate people
Q
for
and
what they do, not for what you think they do.
yeah,
right.
exactly. There's let me see if I can find the correct name, because I always get tripped up about this. There's the QAnon Anonymous podcast where and they've been doing this for a couple of years, have been looking into the people who are at the heads of this conspiracy theory. And it's scary because and maybe I'm even like complicit in this, because you look at Q, you look at what they're actually looking into, and it kind of started from Pizzagate and bubbled up from there. But you laugh at it because it's ridiculous, but also it's become such a huge m- movement that that is one of the huge reason. If you look at a lot of the people who are there, you'll probably find that they've talked about Q and not Q, and that kind of, and that conspiracy. um and yeah, it's it's what they are, what they think Antifa is. They are the cult that they point out that Antifa is. Except for a cult to be a thing, you need a central leader, you need a central figure, you need somebody, pulling the strings. And that's obviously Donald Trump for QAnon. Like, let's not mince words here. Like, he is their cult leader, and it's definitely turned into a cult at this point. Antifa has no central um uh, leader. In fact, they don't even have an actual organization. It's just uh, people with similar beliefs coming together. Sometimes that they'll organize within like smaller groups, but it's never there's no central organization to it.
I
So
think, especially when we're talking about like what happened at the Capitol and these organizations, like there's some common threads that I feel like as a culture we're not addressing. So, for example, 97% of these folks are white, right?
yeah,
But it becomes difficult to address that because then all of a sudden, if you address that as like a government, all of a sudden you have to address it in all these other areas as well too. So by admitting complicity in one area, you can't then be blind towards all these other areas where that supremacy kind of festers, which is interesting. I think one thing that you also notice that if you go to like the real version of these folks' Facebook pages and you look at like their friends lists, it's almost always mostly white people. And
mm,
for the most part, you'll notice that they don't tend to have friend groups of folks that don't look like them. And
mm,
so
Right.
we're talking about like that idea of, I think it parallels a lot of times what people might consider like small town culture. When you're only insulated by the people that are around you, those are the only
Right.
experiences you get exposed to. And so it seems like those types of people are being very targeted as far as being insular, being with yourself, only hanging around people that look like you. And
yeah,
there was an article maybe about 7 or 8 years ago by two scholars. I think their names are Kalish and Kimmel, and they talk about how the commonality in like school shootings, for example, is white males, mostly middle to upper class.
yeah,
Right?
Right.
And so it's not necessarily poor white people doing these things, even
yeah.
though it tends to be a lot of times, oh, they're dumb, they're gonna be sucked up by Trump, all this kind of stuff. But it's not necessarily the poor folks that are doing this. It's folks that have what are the word they call it? I think it was aggrieved entitlement,
Mhm.
where
Yeah, yeah.
you feel like you are entitled to something that you've already been getting, and you feel like you're gonna lose those privileges.
Yeah, and there have been parallels shown, and not to go on the Nazi thing, but in Nazi Germany, a lot of the supporters were, middle class people, worried about losing that privilege, you know, and
They don't
you
acknowledge it as a privilege, though. That ends up becoming like part of the crux of it, where it's
yeah,
like I am not privileged at all, rather than saying I have more than you for this reason, without realizing what those reasons are.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you look at the crowd in at the Capitol that night, and you see like there's people who own who have small businesses, which the narrative in society is that small business owners are like salt of the earth people and stuff like that, but you really got to look into small business owners, how they actually their actual economic status, and mostly they are upper middle class people, and not to discredit anything that sometimes they there are people who work hard for what they have. I won't take anything away from that, but their economic interest is lower taxes, no minimum wage, stuff like that. So they will often vote Republican, and the if you look at the tax bracket of people who voted for Trump, you'll find that it's not even as many poor white trash, to use a term, that you think it is. It's more upper middle class people that voted for him. It's a lot of college educated people. Like I saw a thread from Linda Trudeau.
Educated white people
Yes, yes. uh,
specifically.
well, and not to speak out of turn, but there are a lot of people of color, and you'll find out a lot of the people of color who are Trump supporters are also upper class, upper middle class, stuff like that. A lot of it, as much as race and gender and sexuality is a factor in voting. A lot of times, it usually comes down to economic status. And by the way, take everything when I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not like a smart person. So just look into it yourself. But I was going to say Linda Trudeau. I wish I hope I get her name right. She's a great journalist. Came to kind of had a little bit of quote unquote fame, or more like recognition, because she lost an eye in one of the BLM protests. But she's a great writer. She had a Twitter thread talking about how she's not surprised that a lot of people who went to universities and Ivy League schools are a part of this movement, because um, people like that are often, you can't tell them they're wrong. You get this thing, it's just like you have the best education, or you're a very smart person, so oh, you have to know what is right, and they're told that for so long that you just can't tell them, no, this is stupid and fucked up, and stop following them.
Yeah, I think like, there has to be a degree of willful ignorance in it too, because obviously, there's like anyone sitting right next to you, you basically have a computer in your hand at all times. So, you can choose to educate yourself or not.
Well, I think
Um,
there is a problem with trying to separate the correct sources from the bullshit.
right.
So
Well,
that's
which
kind
is
of
like another thing that there's so that a lot of these people are so upset about is the quote unquote censorship or whatever, or how like on Facebook, how now they'll put that this has information out of context, there'll be like flags, or this is basically like it's like Snopes almost. No, this is fucking bullshit, and they had to put that, and people think, one, that's censorship or whatever, and two, they feel like it's biased in one direction or the other. And obviously, like a lot of people are really pissed off that Trump got banned off of Twitter and is getting banned off social media platforms because of the censorship issue. Obviously, like how I feel is, this person is dangerous in the sense that, he basically just incited a fucking huge deal at the Capitol, um, which could have went very badly, like I said, with Molotov cocktails and pipe bombs and things like that. Just walking right into that area is just complete insanity. But um that's one of the main things I think people are pissed off about. And actually this was one of the most alarming things that I've seen since everything went down on the 6th. So I removed this person now, but I had a friend on Facebook who just followed me through comedy. Yeah, she met me through comedy, and I kept her on there for a long time because it's like, okay, well, I need fans, she comes and pays to see me at my show, whatever. Well, she had screenshot her on Google Play, like trying to, the App Store, trying to get Parlor. And
Oh, fucking
apparently,
Parlor.
and because they're like, oh, well, everybody's gonna go to Parlor now or whatever, like they have been or were doing temporarily. Well, apparently Google Play said fuck Parlor and just pulled Parlor completely. And they're like, no, nobody's adding Parlor. Fuck Parlor. We're not putting Parlor on Google Play. Like, it's not available. And so she just went on this like insane tirade about the censorship or whatever. And I was just like, okay, I think I'm just gonna, this is the end of the road for us.
Like, I think you can have that argument if we have social media as like a public utility.
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
That's like, this is our public forum, but it's still a private entity. And so if you're,
Yep.
it's one of those like hypocrisy to things, right? Where like, if this was the other way around, like you're trying to sell a cake,
Yeah.
you have the exact opposite argument.
Well, it's weird to say like, oh, they're taking away the president of the United States freedom of speech. Dude, he's still president of the United States. He could fucking call a press
he could
conference and
make a
every news
podcast
network would
as
be
well,
What?
Presidential alerts on
whatever.
our phone.
Yeah.
He can tweet
That's
us
true.
directly.
That.
He has so many other avenues to be heard, like a private let's face it, he's mad because it was his favorite way to communicate with the public. Like, that's it.
He just anything that he can throw a little temper tantrum about, and now he's using it as a spin to again upset the people who follow him by saying, well, look what they're trying to do. They're trying to censor me, and this is just all part of their big plan that they can't shut us up, kind of a thing. And that's why I think we have to be really concerned that something even bigger than what just happened is about to happen.
Oh, absolutely. I would not be surprised if there is a bombing or assassination attempt on Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, inauguration day before, a little bit after, whatever. I wouldn't. And I'm sure like Secret Service is getting ramped up around Joe and Kamala because of this. And I wouldn't be surprised if they decide the inauguration, is going to be more of a private event.
Just do it via Zoom.
Nobody should be gathering right now like that anyway. So
be a super spreader event, just like what they were doing. And to me, it's just like, wow, you guys actually had the perfect opportunity to disclose your identity by wearing a mask, because everybody should be wearing a mask, and all like 95% of them are just out there barefaced. Like,
yeah, and
when you guys realize that what you're doing is illegal, right? Like,
once they get arrested, they'll change their tune about Antifa wearing masks. Like,
oh man, and like, I don't think a lot of people know this either, but these people have been in Washington D.C. for days before the 6th, like protesting, marching through the streets, like breaking curfew and stuff like that, with no opposition at night, wearing all black. Like, I'm sorry, like, it's some weird ass scary shit going on out over there. Like, I feel like the media is not covering it as much as they could be because they don't want to scare the shit out of everybody.
Well, I think it's still even a fact of both sidesing
people again.
Yeah,
it's by going after them. It's all of a sudden you're shifting this narrative of what exactly is a terrorist. What does that look like? Who is this person that does this kind of thing? And then when you start breaking it down further, like I think you're getting into this a little bit too, when you're seeing like whether it's a a news channel or like even a late night show referring to them on equal terms, as if protesting and storming the Capitol are like the same thing, as if fighting for
Right.
people that are
They're not.
dying or are suffering is the same thing as thinking the election was rigged.
Yeah.
Right.
Having actual evidence that's not a YouTube video. And
Yeah.
so that false equivalency, I think, then pops up too. And like even just the language that people are using as they're talking about this.
Yeah. It's really bad, and we'll have to, keep an eye on it in the
Tune
next
in
couple of
next week
weeks.
for how big of a shit show can the United States of America be?
Well,
The treason finale.
I'm gonna be honest. As a country, we probably deserve it. Like, let's face, as
They had it coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Oh, we're doing Chicago. Okay. I mean, obviously, I'm playing the John C. Riley part.
I don't know why I'm so sing-songy about this, but I just am for some reason.
Well, I storming the Capitol.
Yeah, like, but like I say, as a government, as a country, we probably deserve this. I mean, we've instituted that in different. We've caught like our government has facilitated coups in several countries. Like it's just something that has happened. Even I guess communist Obama has done that, and stuff like that. So it's weirdly, chickens coming home to roost. But unfortunately, the most vulnerable people are going to be the ones that suffer the most from it.
As Killer Mike said, who's affected worst and who's affected first. So when you're these issues, even if we implement like more laws after this whole storming the Capitol kind of a thing, it's not going to necessarily be those people that are the most affected.
Yeah, it's going to be more or less black and brown people, leftist activists, people prominent in the BLM movement, stuff like that. It's unfortunate, what?
Why were they not just hauling them out immediately? Like, why were they not handcuffing these people or zip tying these people and sitting them there and waiting for buses to haul them out? Like,
unfortunately, it most likely has to do with the fact that the police are more or less on their side. Law enforcement is more or less on their side.
This is wild.
Yeah.
Just wild.
Anyway, let's end this on a happy note. Anybody's got you know what? Let's talk about our Christmases. How like we we're a couple of weeks after Christmas, but I had a good time. I stayed home, did some FaceTime with my family, and opened presents. I got a vacuum cleaner. So
adult.
Have you used it?
What?
Have you used it yet?
Yeah, I have used it. I have used it a lot. I've used it.
He used it the first day. He got it out of the box. He plugged it in. He vacuumed everything. He's been vacuuming every single day since.
You're joking. You're joking, but that's pretty much accurate.
Yeah, I spilled stuff on purpose.
Yeah.
That whole Lucy episode trying to sell vacuum cleaners, and
he's actually been filming a commercial for them that we don't know about, and he's doing the same thing that they did with the shark, where they drop the nuts out, nuts and bolts and screws, and he's just testing its limits.
No, they're a sponsor now. That's but I also got the entire series of Star Trek: The Next Generation on Blu-ray, so that was pretty cool. So,
hell yeah.
What about you guys?
Well, I had a great Christmas. I did face to face see my sister and my mom when we all got tested beforehand and were negative, so we felt comfortable meeting up.
Oh, you're negative? You should really look at the positive side of things.
Sorry, I'm a pessimist. What can I say? Everybody knows that. I hate everything. So we got together, taught him how to play spades, and my mom just loved it. And she pulled off this really fucking funny prank. Sometimes my mom just does the cutest shit ever. So my sister's like, well, Mom, this game originated in the jail systems or whatever. And my mom's like, oh, well, I just love this game, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, I need to go to the bathroom. So my mom goes to the bathroom and she comes back like a few minutes later. She's notorious for taking breaks while we're playing games, and it's really frustrating for me. But so she takes this little break. She comes back and she sits down and she's got a sweater on, and we're continuing the game, and all of a sudden she just like rolls her sleeves up on the sweater, and she had underneath those fake tattoo sleeves.
Yeah.
So she got us good. So that was kind of probably my favorite memory of Christmas this year. My mom has a really good sense of humor too, and a lot of people don't really know that about her. But so that was pretty epic. I got a couple of board games, and I got the microphone I can't get to work. And I don't know, it's less about the gifts for me and more just about spending the quality time. Obviously, it's a little, different than usual, but I luckily did get to be with my family, so it was awesome. What about
uh,
you?
yeah. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, same old stuff. But as far as what was maybe interesting about it, I think was it the day of, maybe the day before. I've been looking to find like just things to do while in quarantine that were socially distanced, but
Mm.
things I wouldn't do normally. So I went to go see the Buddy Holly Richie Valens Big Bopper Crash Site.
Oh
Oh
wow.
wow. Oh,
It's like
up
an
in
hour
Mason,
away.
Clear Lake.
Yeah,
Or
it is very underwhelming. It is just
Yeah.
giant Buddy Holly glasses.
yeah, I am from that area. I used to live in Mason City for a little bit, and it is like Clear Lake. It's a point of pride. The surf ballroom is pretty much a
Mhm.
historic landmark
That's what I hear.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
And
uh
find out
even
about
though
that place until after I visited there, and I'm like, oh, once quarantine is done, hopefully that would be a cool place to visit one day.
yeah,
But
I
right.
last big act I know that was there was like Kevin Costner's band.
ooh, yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I went to see the Field of Dreams as well.
Is
Oh,
that
cool.
still around? I thought that they tore that down.
Nope, it's still
I
there.
did. I
Okay.
did also during quarantine finally make it to the world's largest frying pan.
Of
I
fucking
heard
course
of
you did. Okay, honestly, Liberty, I rewatched that TV pilot we made
Mhm.
back in like December of 2018. Do you remember that? Where you did the
Yeah, of
stand-up
course I
routine?
remember it.
And you
Yeah.
had a joke about the largest frying pan. Like
Yeah, and,
it's
yeah. Wait, was that was in what year? That was just 2
wasn't it
years ago?
2018?
No way, dude. I haven't been on TV since like I literally first started doing comedy, I don't think. Oh
No,
wait, no, we're talking about the next. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
we're talking
sorry,
about
I
the
forgot.
monster movie thing that yeah.
Yes, I forgot all about that. Yeah. Yeah, I got a dumb joke about the world's largest frying pan. I was just like, we have the world's largest truck stop, and you can go in there and get the world's largest bag of bacon, and then you can go to the world's largest frying pan and fry it up in there. But I feel like when people are standing in the frying pan, they're just like saying to the aliens, like, "Hey, eat me." That's the joke. It's so dumb.
It's a cookbook.
It's
Um,
like, hey, here I am. I'm in this frying pan. Come
it.
get me. I don't
right.
know. So stupid.
Take my
Well,
eggs. Take my eggs.
Yeah, like you can get like, you can probably fit like a million eggs in there and like 30 pounds of bacon. But honestly, the world's largest frying pan is really underwhelming too. I was like, damn, this isn't even that big.
really? You
I
don't
couldn't
say.
even
I would think it
fry
would
up
be
3 humans in this at once.
These Iowa sites are all talk.
They are. Well, the world's largest truck stop is quite large, but also it's like you have to walk like a mile to get anything. So fuck that
Jesus
place.
They have
Christ.
a dentist.
You have to park like
Wait,
you have to park so far away. It's like, it's just terrible. There's nothing that is the world's largest that I've really been that impressed with yet. But someday I feel like I'm gonna see something really big that's gonna be really impressive.
It reminds me of a joke a friend of mine told. It was something like, what was it? I'm gonna butcher it, but she was talking about like being around a man's penis, and she was like, I wasn't sure if it was penis was big or my hands were small. Something like that. It was so funny.
Been there.
Yep. And yeah, Liberty, we all know you like really big and impressive things.
I
Uh,
do love big impressive things.
all right. Well, Josh, thank you so much for being on. We had a great time having you talking with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. This was a great way to make a comeback, and thanks so much for being here. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, everyone.
Yeah, and do you want to show? Do you have anything you want to promote? You want to talk? Give everybody the YouTube channels
Sure.
again.
As far as the UNI Interpreters Theater, RE Theatre, go to that on YouTube. We have it on Facebook and Instagram as well. We have some funny memes we do on Instagram. You'll also be seeing our weekly public access shows are on Tuesday nights normally on CF channel 95.8, something like that. I don't have it off the top of my head, but you can find it if
Yeah.
you're bored on Tuesday evening.
Do you sincerely think that we can afford cable television?
I have the digital antenna.
Yeah, I have the digital antenna too. No,
Other than
but I'm
that,
sure there are people out there who can afford cable TV, just not us.
steal it.
Steal it. But also, your one man.
Yeah. Other than that, Burnt City, a dystopian bilingual one Persian show, will hopefully be touring around the country in the next year. So check that out. If you want to see it online, just type in Burnt City and my name, Josh Hamzehee, on a YouTube. Other than that, yeah, I guess I live in Cedar Falls.
All right. Liberty, you got anything you want to promote quickly
Nope,
or nope?
Not at all.
All right.
Just super happy with this. This is a really fun episode. Thanks again for being here, Josh.
Absolutely, this is great. And I am, I haven't recorded either my other podcast for a while, but you can still see that. I'm going to get back into it. You can find that on all the podcast platforms. I love this flick. We talk about cult and So Bad It's Good. They're good movies. And kind of just nerd out about that. It's been really fun doing that. I'm gonna try to get back into that very soon. And
Yeah,
also,
we still have to do Cellar Dweller.
yes, we need to do Cellar Dweller.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
Josh, we've talked a lot about like some bad one day we'll do a Toxic Avenger episode. I'll watch Toxic Avenger and we'll have to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah, and okay, and for this podcast, if you're watching it on YouTube, you can also find, or if you're listening to this on other podcast platforms, you can find it on most of the platforms, Spotify, Google Play, um, Apple Podcast, Castbox. You can also find and you can also watch this on YouTube if you're not, you can see what we actually look like. You can get the Ronald McDonald jokes and
Josh
give
has the Ronald McDonald hair and not me.
we'll figure this out if you comment to us yeah, and you can write to us at fancywerewolflounge@gmail.com. So anyway, for the Fancy Werewolf Lounge, I'm Josh Pfizer.
See you next time, guys. Signing out. Liberty Bell here.
All right, and you don't have to go home, but you can stay here. Good night, everybody.